how to create career opportunities. So the goal of this presentation is really to give you some information on how to really find some new opportunities, hopefully. So I want to introduce myself. So I'm a career coach. My mission is to help you build skills and potential so that you can gain financial and emotional freedom. And a little bit about me on the private side. So I enjoy topics around digital, artificial intelligence, psychology, and what I love is spas, lakes, and fashion. So that's a little bit about my persona. So today I'm going to present to you how to brand yourself for success, how to develop career opportunities, and how to boost your market potential. So how to brand yourself for success? I like to use these pictures here because I think it's really interesting how you may come across, and sometimes people don't realize. It's quite important to perceive the perceived value that you showcase to the world is extremely important. So people sometimes forget. Of course, this slide is a little bit to the extreme, but just to give you an impression on what you get when you see somebody immediately. So what's your first impression, and you can really make an impact or break the connection because you didn't show your base profile. So this is basically an example because sometimes people ask me, what do you mean by presentation? What does it mean? How should I dress, etc. So I wanted to showcase for you what it means, a good presentation. So again, this doesn't mean that's all that you can find, but it gives you an impression for 3 different people. Perceived value is key online. So this is an example of what you could wear, if you're a lady, if you're a man. So that gives already a status also. So that's also the perceived value. So perceived value is in the head of the recruiter, does this person look like she could or he could do the job? So you have to find, the first thing you need to do is find who you are as a person. So who are you? What do you represent? What are your work experiences? What do you want and what you don't want is just as important on the job market. Do you send the right message? And you have to remember that most of what you're showcasing to the world is actually your body language. So the words, as you notice, and the voice is not so important. So think about that when you have an interview, for example. People will remember your body language 55% and your words only 7%. So when you practice, and that's why I like to show this, when you practice is remembering that you also have to work on your posture and your dress and all that stuff, because that's going to be your body language. So how to develop opportunities? I like this quote from Milton Berle: if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. So that's exactly what you have to do sometimes these days, is build a door. So you are the product. What are you looking for? What do you have to offer? Why should a company pick you? So you need to build a self-marketing plan about yourself to convince that you're the right person for the job. So I'm going to give you some examples of ideas of what you could be working on in the next weeks or months. So the first thing is be coherent in your job search. So your communication must be coherent everywhere, and that's something you need to remember from this presentation, is coherence. The big brands do it. If you go to big brands' websites, you will notice they use the same wording, the same images. That's going to bring them credibility. So it's the same with you as a person who's trying to increase their market value and get better opportunities. You need to work on your communication for the coherence of it, having a great photo on your messages, on your CV, online and offline, and to invest time in great applications. So again, all this will make you a quality candidate in the coherence in what you're saying. And remember, you won't get a chance to make a second good impression. So I go back to what I was just showing you with the presentation. This is what people will remember: the first photo they see of you on LinkedIn, the first message they get from you. That's your first impression. And unfortunately, you can't change this. So invest in all the things I just mentioned so that the company gets this right impression from the beginning. You also need coherence in your priorities. Sometimes people are a little bit incoherent at the beginning. They're looking to start a business. They're looking to maybe go for different jobs. So I tend to realize now, working in career coaching all these years, that focus is key. If you try to do too many things, you're probably not going to be great at any one of them. That's why I like to spend some time talking about your projects and whether they're compatible. Sometimes you have a challenge trying to fit everything in, and you're going to under deliver basically. So it's better to over deliver on one thing than to under deliver in several. So think about that when you think about your career plans. Are you stuffing your plate a bit too much at this stage? The other thing you need to really build in 2020 is your network. That's going to make a huge difference between you and other candidates. So you need to think about, maybe you're new in town because you are an expat and you go find a job somewhere new, so you don't have a network there. If you have a network already, maybe you can try to get that reactivated. I always tell people, reactivate the network you already have. And you never know, maybe someone you would not think of a good network contact could actually know someone. And right now is a good time to actually message your network, see how they're doing, get some news, without anything in your mind yet, but just to tell people you're there. It's a good way to keep things warm. Open up your horizons. That's probably one of the huge pitfalls that I see job seekers do, is that they tend to look only in one area or one city. And again, as I was showing earlier, opportunities, you have sometimes to build a door. So if you're stuck in one location, you're not going to see what's going on next door. So you just have to keep a broad mind to say that maybe my next job is not going to be in Munich, it's going to be in another city somewhere else. So also you have probably more flexibility in the last months with long-term flexible arrangements, because companies now are getting used to working from home. So you may be working in one location and living in another location. So that's probably going to be the next thing in HR now. So remember, if you're the ideal candidate, you can always negotiate. So don't worry so much about where the job is based, but more, is this job making sense for me? Would I be a good candidate for it? Starting your own business is another option to bring some opportunities. Maybe you have an idea, and maybe right now is a good time to move on your idea. It can give yourself a purpose. I know I'm probably the happiest person since I started my own thing. That was 2015. I've been doing it ever since. So starting your business, again, could be a great idea. I have a whole workshop on that where I talk about starting a business, the pluses and the minuses. And it's not, of course, for everybody, but that's why you have people out there to help you sort this out. You have consultants like myself. You have chambers of commerce, also very active in helping you set up business. So basically, you have resources also. Your network can help you also for feedback purposes. I always like to test my ideas with people I know to see if I have a good idea, or if I need to work a bit more on it. So I can help with that as well, starting your business. You need to network with employment agencies, temp agencies, headhunters, whatever you want to call them. For executives, it's mostly headhunters, a little bit higher level. These people are great. I use them for two main reasons. The first one is to test your market potential. A lot of people don't know what they're worth or how they should position themselves. I work on this with people, but I'd like to test that also with headhunters, because I can't know in every possible city how much a job pays and all that. And it keeps changing regularly. The market moves regularly. So you just need to check with people who are constantly recruiting and placing people, so that they can tell you, yes, for this job, this is how much it pays, this is the market rate, and by the way, this is the city that's recruiting right now, so don't look there. So that's, headhunters can do that, or agencies. And you have Glassdoor. It's a tool as well online that's completely free, and you can check also based on the city where you live, a little bit the salaries, and also you get feedback from people who are working inside companies. So that's why I like Glassdoor as well. So if you want to get an idea of what it's like to work for such and such, you can check on Glassdoor. Probably a good idea at the moment would be to check companies hiring versus companies not hiring, to stop wasting your time. So Glassdoor could give you an idea also of what's going on inside the companies by people working there. So it's a great tool. Keep a list of agencies with a broad geographical cover. So again, Don't think so much location. You have agencies like Badenoch and Clark approach people. They work throughout Europe. So I always advise people to, again, keep it broad. Just say you're interested in such and such field, and you're open to opportunities. And if they present you with a job and you don't want to go to the location for different reason, you can always decline. But at least you build a rapport also with a headhunter, and you never know. I mean, I've really seen a lot of people get opportunities they didn't expect by just being open. So you never know. That's the thing. Leave routine. So that's hard, I know, because we're all creatures of habit. So I know it's very difficult. That's probably one of my challenges with my clients, is to get them to sneak outside of their comfort zone, because especially with job search strategies, people are used to going online and replying to ads on job boards. And that's a little bit limiting, as we know the job market is changing, and now jobs get filled very quickly with networking, with digital. So if you're only looking at job boards, you're really limiting yourself. So start educating yourself a little bit about how you could find your next opportunity. And of course, that's going a little bit through different job search strategies, again, with digital, with going on social media, following companies, etc. And also look for companies presenting a logical next step for you. So I always tell people, don't try to do too much. Again, going with focus. Maybe you only change your job now and you change sectors later. But right now, I would really try to encourage people to be very niche focused, understand the market, and be very clear on what it is they're looking for, because you're not going to be credible on your expertise otherwise. Another thing that could help you get some opportunities is to work with the internet. Again, broadening a little bit. So I think most of us, sometimes when we do a search, we're a little bit too focused on one thing, where we would only look at certain keywords, or for example, finance jobs instead of accountant in a specific city. That could give you more searches. I think the big issue that we have at this stage is not probably using the internet as much. So you have a lot of training right now also on that, to do Boolean searches, it's called. So again, some of you may have different knowledge on how to do searches and using keywords. You have to understand that recruiters now also are becoming a little bit more sourcers, meaning that they are using also those tech tools to source candidates. So as a candidate, you need to understand this and be searchable. So when you're looking at jobs online, just keep in mind when you do your searches to multiply keywords to get different results, because sometimes also the job could be misplaced. So try to go a bit broad, look at different things, internet, LinkedIn. You could find some great results that way. I could do a whole workshop as well on using searches to find hidden opportunities and using social media. So I'll leave that for another time. Keep moving along. Learn to use social networks. So register on websites is probably what you've done already on those job boards where you register your resume. It's a good start, I would say. It doesn't, sometimes recruiters do look for candidates there. But again, you have to remember that for some jobs, recruiters don't want the passive candidates. And sometimes on websites like this, they know they will only find passive candidates. So they're looking for people who are in a job actively and not necessarily have their resume on those job boards. Again, make sure you use keywords on your resume. Define your career project very well so that immediately recruiter knows what you do, what you're looking for. And learn how to use at least one social network well. So that could be your project for the next month. At least find one that you're probably the most familiar with. Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. LinkedIn makes sense because it's the job source or the marketplace for recruitment. But you have to remember a lot of action is happening on Twitter as well. I learned a lot about Twitter myself, how you could find opportunities there. But it's a great professional tool. I would say probably a bit more than Facebook. So if you have to choose, I would say between Twitter and LinkedIn, you could probably get golden nuggets there in terms of opportunities. Open up your mind. So when you're looking for opportunities, you have to keep your mind very open in terms of where your next job will be. So you could have a goal, and that's what I will showcase with you in a moment. To have a goal is a great idea, but to stay flexible how this goal is going to show up. So you have your objective of what you want, but you're very flexible in terms of maybe a little bit of a derivative of the goal. Define what you're willing to do to be employed again. That's also very important. It's part of having a backup plan. And I think right now we all could use a little bit of a backup plan. It doesn't mean you forget your goal, but you're, again, thinking about plan B type of thing. What I would really recommend is that you always favor a working status, because if you're out of work, sometimes employers don't look at it positively. So even if it's self-employed, a lot of people now have multiple things. Again, I wouldn't recommend you put yourself out there a little bit too thin, but it would be okay to have maybe a side gig or maybe studies, like a part-time studies or something like that. If you have one or two things going, but at least you're active, you're not without something, because then you become a little less attractive on the job market. So the three things that could help you create opportunities in a nutshell: if you're flexible on distance, again, think about distance as something that's no longer so important, because we all work online. We have some people tonight that are connected from the other side of the world, so that could bring you opportunities to think a little bit less in terms of city or even country, but in terms of where is your next interesting job opportunities. Second thing that could maybe get you unstuck at the moment is to look at a job that's different than what you thought. You'd be surprised if you really sit down and look at maybe job offers and say, well, you know what, this is not what I thought about, but I'm quite interested. And just by participating in a lot of activities like webinars, listening to what's going on in the world in different events, and again, we're talking about online events right now, you could get ideas. There's lots of things going on at the moment. So as much as some jobs are really disappearing slowly or being less, are not recruiting anymore, you have new jobs that are also being created. So you just have to keep that in mind, that maybe the job that you're going to have is not something that exists at this stage, but is in the process of existing. So for example, there's a company called Cognizant, and they're completely ramping up at the moment, developing the next webcast systems. So they're going to hire a lot. So they're a US-based company, I believe. But those are examples of companies that are actually at this moment growing because of what we're going through. So you may not even be aware at the moment. And a partnership opportunity. That's something more for people who want to start their own thing, their own business. You could meet people that already have something and decide to partner with them to create something together. So it would be more for self-starter, wanting to start businesses type of individuals. So I wanted to make this slide on the high demand sectors because that's the feedback also I get, where people are confused where their jobs are. So I'm trying to give visibility on that. So I regroup basically where you would have the opportunities. So number one, construction, because there's always new complexes that are being built. It's not stopping at the moment. Even during the confinement, you have construction. You have manufacturing in Germany. I know manufacturing is very important part of the market. Engineers keep coming back everywhere. So software engineers are very high demand right now, any kind of engineer actually, but mostly software. Healthcare, that's a given. I think we don't need to think too much about that. So those I would say are probably not the jobs that you would be targeting necessarily, but it could be also in the back end of it, and I have right under it biotech and all these things that you may be more interested in. So IT sector, application programming administrators, all those will be in high demand. I could add to that blockchain. So anything with the word tech in it basically is a growing field. So if you think where are the jobs that are coming to be in demand, just look for jobs with tech. So think about the profile right now that you have. Maybe that's something you could add, because I think it's going to be important to stay marketable is your tech skills. And the more knowledge that you have, the better off you will be to be employable and to keep your skills going and everything. So think about that whole tech concept. So an exercise that you can do for yourself at this moment is to think a little bit about what is your objective. What type of objective are you looking for? So I try to be very, very precise in terms of objective. So I tell people, visualize, you want to be a finance manager by December 2021, working in such and such city. So it is very precise. It doesn't mean it will happen, because again, we have to stay flexible and we have a lot of things out of our control at the moment, but it gives you a target. It gives you something to work towards. And then you're a little bit flexible in how this will come up. Maybe you're going to be a finance manager in another city. Maybe you end up working in a different part of the company, but at least it gives you, you need a goal. I find it hard to work on something when I don't have a goal. So I have my goals, but then it's like my vision, and then I'm very flexible in things that come up. So it keeps you motivated, gives you something to work towards. Now you have to see, are you missing some education? That's how we work in education or in training, is what is your objective and what do you need to get as skills to be marketable and to develop and to to understand a little bit what you need to do. So, this is the objective. This is where I am today. What am I missing to get there? Is it an MBA? Is it a master's? Is it something else? That helps you also when you have the conversations with the schools to know, to have this objective, because it's hard to advise when you don't have the objective. List what you're doing that's working or not working. So if you say I'm on job boards every day applying and I still don't have any interviews, that's a sign maybe you can do something different. So decide 2 things you want to do more of that maybe you haven't done. Like, for example, being more active on social media is a good example. That could build some new opportunities. So definitely look at what you're doing in your job search or in your, whatever you're doing right now to build your career forward. See what brings you interviews and conversations, and if it's not working, change it. That's the best way I can think about it. So how to boost your market potential a little bit more. So I call what we see today as the new normal, even though I don't like this expression, but we have to call it something. So it's called the new normal. So that's what we're going through right now with confinement and all that stuff. So I try to find some points for you to upgrade your skills and to get you to the next level, because that's the most important thing you're looking for by watching this presentation. So what are some of the things you can train yourself on? Well, the first thing is knowledge of your business niche. So it goes with your goal. So what are you trying to achieve basically in your career? And again, even if it's a long-term goal, it doesn't matter. Have some purpose basically and have a vision of what you want in your life. And that's going to help you also with conversations with schools, conversation when you're networking, and every day you're making a little baby step towards that. So that's very helpful, and that's also more credibility when you talk to recruiters as well, that you have a niche, that you know where you're going, that you're building your specialty more than being a little bit of a jack of all trade type of thing. Number 2, identification of go-to people and places. So that's going to help you with networking. So that's my specialty at the moment, of helping people identify those go-to people based on what they want to achieve and where they could get those connections, especially online, because I've been very focused online lately and looking at the groups and LinkedIn and where are those connections. Number 3, training to bridge your skills gap. So again, look at where you're going and what you're missing right now. Look at job descriptions. That's going to give you an idea of the type of training that companies want. So that's where you start. And then when you have conversations with schools, you understand a little bit more what you need also. Number 4, attention online via a great profile. So I was saying earlier, build up your profile, make sure it's nice to look at, you have a good photo, remember, perceive value. It's unfortunate, you're going to say, well, people judge. Yes, it's true. I mean, we do have an impression when we see something. So, recruiters will get conclusions by looking at your profile, whether they want to contact you or not, based on what they see. So, having a great online profile is number 1, just as important as a great resume nowadays. Showcasing your own content. I know this is a little bit of a stretch for most people, but you have to get to the point where you can share also your skill. So it's not good enough nowadays to show that you are an expert and just say it. You have to prove it. So you have to maybe share an article, share a video, something that actually displays your skill. And again, it's part of building your credibility, your knowledge, and be recognized as the go-to person for your field. Networking with selected communities, so that's going to be part of building up your network and identifying which network is great for you. So that's also huge in 2020, because what's happening is we can't really go to events anymore in person, very limited. In some countries, sometimes you can't at all. So you have to build strategies where you're now building communities online with individuals so that you have your online network, basically. Social and influential skills. Just because you're behind your computer, it doesn't mean you don't need social skills. On the opposite, I would say it's still, you have to work on that. How do you engage with people online? How do you show your leadership online? That could be the topic also of another workshop. But it's a challenge. I mean, when you're not in front of individuals, how do you showcase that you are influential and you're good with management and leadership and all this? And finally, you need to build up your knowledge on tech and social media. So if right now you're saying, well, I have my profile on LinkedIn and haven't updated it lately, or I'm not going on there very much, it's a huge opportunity area you're missing on. Because I would say probably a lot of the activity has moved, even for business owners, everything has moved online. So if you're not online, you're missing everything. So LinkedIn or Twitter, I was saying, is a good place as well. If you want to know where is it happening now, where is the recruitment happening, where are decisions being made, businesses being built, it's happening online. So it's at the bottom, but it's actually, if I could put all of them on top, they're all important. So, but don't be afraid. You don't have to know everything immediately, but just know those are the points, I think, where you need to head towards and improve in the next upcoming weeks and months. So I hope I didn't keep it too long for you. So thanks for participating. And if you want to get a free copy of my new book, Creating Career Opportunities, you can message me, contact@isabellelitzler.com, and I will send you a PDF version. There's also a ebook version on Amazon for those of you who want to check it out there. But welcome to contact me, and of course I can answer a few questions now, and otherwise we can go into a private group together. Thank you very much.